Hello, BookTube. Today I am reviewing The Snowman by Joe Nesbo. And I should tell you, this is definitely not the kind of book I would normally review. As you can see here, I got from the library. Um, what happened was, so I'm in this book club at school, and I was the only one who read this one. But the idea was we wanted to read a mystery book, and so I chose a mystery book to read that other people could have read, although they didn't. And I read it over the month, or over the last few weeks. And I actually liked it a lot more than I thought that I would. In fact, I didn't like it much at first, but it grew on me over time. So I can say I overall liked it. However, I should say that mystery novels in general are my thing. So if if you were to watch a person who likes mystery novels, you might not agree necessarily with my review. I also like to point out that the book does involve a lot of graphic violence. So if you're not the person who likes that sort of thing, then you probably would not want to read this book at all, and also might not even want to watch this review. But that's all I'm going to preface it with. So now I'll get to the actual review itself. So first of all, this book, The Snowman, is about this serial killer who's going around the city of Oslo, Norway. It takes place in Norway, which is strange for an American reader. But the idea is when he kills a victim, he turns their body into a snowman. And I won't go, and I'm not going to reveal any details about who it is or whatever. But I will say, I was actually a bit disappointed in one respect about this because, you see, my main problem with mystery novels I always have, and I had it with this novel too, is that the person who did it is always just one of the characters, if you would. They introduce a bunch of characters at the beginning, and they introduce them over time, and you know it's just going to be someone they've introduced. And that's, and that's just going to be, who it is. And then they say they kill off a character if they want you to misdirect you, and then they put towards another character, and then they misdirect you again. It's just that sort of thing. I never liked that. And this book has that, unfortunately. And what I was hoping was that the serial killer would be like this external force. It's not one of the characters you know, and so they would have to try and find him and counter him. I thought that would be the interesting thing, but unfortunately that was not the case. However, it's not really a bad book even because of that. The prose writing is actually really good. I liked it. There's a lot of interesting language used. And there are these three motifs that are used that are strange, but kind of interesting. Well, some of them are I like, some of them I don't like, when the intents at different times. So one of them is politics. I'm not, the author doesn't not as in necessarily political opinions, but the idea is there are these there's two flashbacks, and there's the main story. And each of those parts starts on the eve of an election. So for the first one is on the election of Reagan in 1980. The second one is on the election of Bill Clinton, and the third one is on the election of George W. Bush in 2004. So his second term. So it's a Norwegian book and takes place in Norway, yet they actually involve American politics somehow. I don't really know why they chose to do this. It has no bearing on the plot. It's just a strange choice. I'm not sure how I feel about it. The other one is music. And this one I actually find kind of annoying because it feels like music criticism. They mention music playing a lot in the background and describe the way it sounds and such, but the way they do it makes it sound like the author has like a pretentious opinion about music and he wants to tell people about this artist is good and original and the other ones aren't as good. And I just find that kind of annoying. And the third one, though, is foreshadowing. I'm not going to explain how, but it's that of a woman cheating on their husbands. And it's actually really subtle, really interesting foreshadowing that they use, and I like. That's probably my favorite thing in this book. There's a lot of foreshadowing of various things that occur later in the book, in the plot of the book itself, so I like that. Now, this book is actually the 8th in a series, and the idea is it's about a series of detective novels about this detective named Harry Hole, I guess I should have mentioned earlier. And Harry Hole works for the Norwegian Police Department, and the idea is that he was trained by the FBI in the United States, and then he goes to Norway. And they're all written in a way so that you actually don't have to read the other ones, from what I understand. At least I did not have to read the other ones for this one. So if anyone's worried about reading this one, thinking, oh, it's the 8th in a series, I better go to the first one, you really don't at all. But that's actually a little weakness of the book in a sense. So due to the serialized nature of these stories, you know that not only is Harry Hole not going to be in serious danger by the end of it or whatever, but his character, it doesn't develop. And even the name Harry Hole, since it's like a hardboiled detective novel, just that name kind of, apart from the kind of funniness of the name Harry Hole, basically tells you everything you know about his character. Just by the sound of his name and the genre, you probably already know that he's a hard drinker, he's a smoker, he has an ex-wife, he has a really cynical personality. You already know that about his character. And the thing is, I get the impression that he's the same way in all the other books, which you don't need to know, which again, you don't have to read nor to understand this one, but they do mention him occasionally. But I get the impression that he's like the same character in all of them, and he just doesn't develop. He doesn't get over his drinking problem, doesn't get over his smoking problem, nothing. And I don't like that, actually, because I want a character who develops. I don't want a character who's always going to stay the same with his drinking and smoking problem, because not only are those unoriginal problems for the detective to have, they're just, if they don't go anywhere with them, it just seems kind of pointless. It doesn't even cause them all that much consequences, to be honest. They also had this sort of psychosexual vibe, I guess you could say. I won't get into detail here, but there's things that happen like the sexual tension between Harry Hole and his assistant is kind of not over the top, but still kind of eye-rolling when it appears. Also, that there were many plot contrivances, like in order... Actually, the main problem I had was when they had interrogation, you could pretty much almost always tell when the person they were talking to was lying or hiding something. And the detective could always tell as well. And always these are really stupid reason. Like I remember one time it was because someone paused for 1/100th of a second before giving an answer. And apparently that was enough to tell they were lying. I just thought that was really stupid and contrived. And also, I won't say who it is obviously, but I thought the actual identity of the murder itself and how what they revealed about it was kind of involved a lot of plot contrivances. And even a bit of like deceiving the reader in some sense, which I don't like. Anyway, so again, as a personal preference, I'm not a mystery novel person, but I actually did like this one enough to consider giving basically a positive review. Again, as I said before, the problem I have with mystery novels is that like they have a lot of plot contrivances, and the idea is more or less constantly misdirecting you from character to character in ways that all you really have to do to turn the idea into the murderer is just take a wild guess on the person who seems least likely to do it. And yeah. So I would give my final rating for this book as a 3.5 out of 5 stars. You might want to check it out if you're just a person who likes mystery novels, you probably like it much more than I did. But even as someone who normally doesn't like them, I actually did get enjoyment out of it. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure to please the YouTube algorithm gods by liking, commenting, and subscribing. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye. Have a nice day.